right, welcome to the September school board meeting. Could everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the board met in executive session before this meeting to discuss some personnel and legal issues. Next thing up is secretary correspondence. Nothing. IU report?
Yes, actually, microphone on. I actually have something wonderful to report. So the CCIU, in fact, I'd like to read it exactly the way Dr. O'Brien sent it out. Dear colleagues, today I received this wonderful news from our Chester County Technical College High School administrators about a former, oh, I'm sorry, it's the wrong one. But it's a great spot too. But this one I think you'll enjoy. So, CCIU was actually awarded an RCAP award for the Child and Career Development Center. This is a $1.5 million grant. So that is wonderful, wonderful news. The Child and Career Development Center is an amazing, amazing place. And there's a very large construction project in place. This grant is wonderful. So Dr. Jacqueline Aris and also Dr. Labitsky, Joe Labitsky, were instrumental in getting this grant. So we do expect it to have some budget implication, but grants do not work one-on-one. So it's a $1.5 million grant. They will expend a lot of money to be able to get that money, but it will be valuable to have. So that's a wonderful thing. It's a hard-working IU, and this will help with all the programs that come out of that facility. So that's wonderful. That's it, Dave.
All right, thank you. Legislative report?
There's no legislative report. The next meeting of the Chester County School Board Legislative Committee will be Wednesday the 26th. There have only been a handful of non-voting sessions since June, and the next votes are going to be June 24th, 25th, and 26th, which will give us an idea of what legislation is going to be ahead of the legislature prior to the midterm. So we will have a report in October.
All right, thank you. We have no student council reports yet. Those start October 15th. I just have a quick negotiation update to read. I'd like to provide an update on the contract negotiation with our teachers union, the Great Valley Education Association. Negotiations began in January, continued through the spring, and both the school board and union participated in a fact-finding hearing last Friday, September 14th. The fact finder will issue a report by October 1st. This is a non-binding report. Both sides are required to vote to accept or reject it within 10 days of the receipt of the report. The board will be holding a special voting meeting on Monday, October 8th to discuss and act on this report. This is the night of the work session. It will be held at the beginning of the work session. Our teachers' current contract expired on June 30th of 2018. They are still operating under that contract. This is typically called status quo. The school board very much values our teachers. We compensate them well. We are very grateful for their hard work, their expertise, dedication, and passion. They're the highest paid in Chester County, and their health care package is extremely generous. platinum level, the highest available. At the same time, we must balance their compensation package with the other needs of the district. Our district continues to face uncontrollable costs. Our healthcare costs have skyrocketed 46% over the last 3 years. Like every district in the state, we've seen massive increases in mandated contributions to the state educators' retirement system, PESERS, significant increases in special ed, and numerous other unfunded mandates that are simply out of control. It is our goal to come to an agreement that continues to compensate our teachers well, to attract and retain new quality teachers. We must balance our other needs, and we must be fair to our taxpayers. Again, we are optimistic that a mutually beneficial agreement can be reached, and both sides will continue to work hard to make this happen. Any other reports?
We had an instructional committee today, so I guess we'll report on it
Yep.
in the following meeting.
All right. All right, next thing up is a recognition. So, we gathered all these people for you.
Okay, the GVHS Math Club, let me introduce myself. I'm Kathy Crabb, and I'm sponsor of the Great Valley High School Math Club. The club's also known as the Math Olympiad. The club was founded about 8 years ago by 3 members of the class of 2012. Club members meet on a weekly basis to either prepare for or participate in a variety of math competitions. From October through April, the students participate in a series of monthly contests sponsored by a group of math educators called the Math League. Each contest is a set of 6 problems that the students attempt to answer in 30 minutes. We have an unlimited number of students who can participate, and then the top 5 individual scores are combined for a team score. In Pennsylvania, the Math League recognizes first and second place series winners, as well as 16 regional winners. For the 2018-19 school year, GVHS placed 11th in the state. There were about 100 schools participating and won its region. In addition, Kenny Yang, a rising junior, finished the year in 24th place among individual competitors. In addition to Kenny, current club members who also contributed to the club's success are Caitlin DePaula, Alan Zhu, Stephen Liu, Kevin Guo, Dan Milani, Isaac Hugh, and Leo Lee. Caitlin is our current president, and she, along with our vice presidents, Alan Zhu and Kenny Yang, have already gotten the club off to a great start. They recruited at the freshman dinner, and they're going to recruit again, or I'm sorry, at freshman orientation, and they're setting up again at the freshman dinner. We had over 30 kids show up for our first meeting, so we're really excited that we're going to have another great year with lots of participation and a lot of fun. So, thank you.
I'd love to have all you teachers come for all these recognitions, because all of you got her there and all those children there, so thank you. If you do that, we'll have it at the high school. Because usually it's full of parents, so thank you for coming. All right, what's going on at the high school?
The high school's actually had a lot of fundraising activities recently. The Alex's Lemonade Stand Club sold lemonade and had a yellow out at the football game on Friday. And on Friday alone was able to raise $850 for childhood cancer research. Also, the student council held fundraising events at this high school and at PJ Wellahan's, and made a $1,700 donation to the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. Desmond and FBLA will have their annual sports night on this Friday, which will also be helping out fundraising. And Student Council is working on the details for homecoming, which is going to be on October 20th. I know I told you the week last meeting, but and a theme will be finalized this week. The homecoming football game is on Friday this year, so working out some of the details that will be different from previous years where it was on the Saturday. And also the elections for the class of 2022 officers are coming up, so we'll look forward to welcoming some new student leaders.
Thank you. And thanks all the clubs that raise all that money. All right, Superintendent's report.
Yes, we shared the update last week. This evening, I'd just like to share the Safe and Healthy Communities Initiative. The Crime Victims Center of Chester County will be visiting every second grade classroom throughout Chester County. And there will be a 45-minute workshop that's designed to help keep kids safe. It's being provided to all second grade classrooms in the district in our district, as well as all others in the county, as part of the Safe and Healthy Communities Initiative. This will be receiving an opportunity to learn about this program. It's called Safe Touches. It's an evidence-based program developed by the New York Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. And it teaches children how to keep their bodies safe, how to recognize the difference between safe and not safe touch, and how to tell trusted adults if they experience an unsafe situation. The letter will be going home to parents and guardians, and there will also be an opportunity to become part of the research that's done. The idea is a grant was received by the Crime Victims Unit, and the idea is to continue to have more money to provide programs for our young people in Chester County. So there'll be two opportunities. One, to have the program presented to your child, and that is an opt-in, a passive opt-in. The second, that is actually a purposeful opt-in, a signed opt-in, is to be part of the research. The research will be a pre-test, post-test opportunity. The children will be given a yes or a fill-in-the-blank pre-test, and then the workshop will be provided. Following, months later in the spring, a post-test will be provided to all second graders in the county. If parents or guardians would not want their child to become part of that research, that's certainly fine as well. That will require, though, parent permission to be a part of that. So more to come. We will be sending information home to all parents of second grade children. So if there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those questions if any of our parents have questions about that.
Are all the tests are student names on them?
No, it is completely anonymous, and it is just to identify how aware students are of the information that's going to be presented, just as any pre-test, post-test. It's a pre-test, then information is presented with the hope that students will know more after the 45-minute presentation than they knew prior to.
All right. All right, at this point, we'll open up the microphone for any public comment on any of the voting items that are on the agenda. If you have a comment, please come to the podium and state your name and residency. And if you could limit your comments to 3 minutes or less in case someone else would like to speak. Thank you.
I won't take 3 minutes. Bill Dwyer, 10 Stewart Drive, East Whiteland. Just to comment on one of the things that you're voting on tonight, and that's the purchase of some cameras. I don't pretend to know anything about cameras, but cost of $2,100 seems kind of high to me. And I'm kind of surprised more than anything else that there wasn't any discussion by the board on this. Now, maybe there's more detail than what is pointed out on the website with regard to the cameras and everything that I can't see. I'm just kind of surprised there weren't any discussion amongst the board members. Thank you.
Thank you. Making sure any other comments? All right. All right, first thing up for voting is consent agenda items 701. Do I have a motion for 701 through 713 excluding 704? We have to vote on that one
Just as a
separately.
point of order, I drug 701 is now an information item in the finance section.
Okay, sorry.
If you refresh, you would get the proper thing. It just won't show.
All right, let me refresh.
It'd be 701 to 713.
713, and excluding which one?
Well,
7,
you look at 801 now, there's an 801.
gotcha. All right. Do I have a motion for 701 through 713, excluding 704, since I can't vote on that one? We'll have a motion on that one next.
Move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. Do I have a motion on approval for 7.04?
Move to approve 7.04.
Second?
Second.
All right, any questions or comments? And I will not be voting on this as I work for Johnson Controls.
If I can just clarify for the question that came to the board,
Yep.
we did discuss this last month, deferred it because we only had 5 board members in attendance because Mr. Barrett would have to have abstained. And these are proprietary cameras we are replacing. This is the final phase of replacing the analog cameras with digital cameras for our security and surveillance system at the schools. So they are pricey, but they are the benchmark price that schools are paying right now for these type cameras. And, you know, again, if you don't have the good cameras and something happens,
How long are they expected to last for, just out of curiosity?
longer than my time, but
Well, the digital one, I mean, the analog ones have been there for,
the analog ones have been there for, I would want to say, well in excess of 10 years. It was probably in the mid-2004 or 5 era, we started putting the cameras in. We actually had them before that. I remember having a demo by one of my prior supervisor of building and ground showing you could zoom in and how good it is now. We'll give you a demo some night on those, on the current cameras now. So, but just wanted to let you know, these are in the capital budget for replacement for this year.
And is this comparable to what other schools would reasonably
Yes.
pay for cameras?
Yes.
I just don't want to, because
No.
he mentioned a conflict of interest, I just want to put it out there and make it clear that this is not anything shady.
And were we able, just to that same note, were we able to compare it to, is there just one brand we could buy, or were we able to look at other brands? Or is this the brand that works with our system?
When the board went and bid this system years ago, you end up with a proprietary system now, and we have hundreds of cameras. I mean, we virtually have cameras everywhere. So to replace a camera with a non-proprietary camera would not work in the system, or would not work well. And, you know, I don't want to be the one that has the police come in and want to look at a camera and say it doesn't work because we bought the Hyundai brand.
One of the realities as we've gone through the safety audits, and very purposefully, the locations of cameras is not something that we are publicly sharing. But one of the,
But we've just revealed we have a ton of them.
yes, yes. I think it's always fair to assume that wherever you are in Great Valley School District, chances are you are on a camera.
Unless, obviously, restrooms.
Yes.
Just make it, no, don't panic, people.
But that said, that was one of the points of pride that were shared with us through our safety audit, especially when the police department comes to coordinate services with us. The cameras are a critical feature.
all right. Oh, go ahead.
when we looked at the system that we currently have, there was a large discussion that went into, well, what do we have to do going forward? And what the value, in fact, we did have Johnson Controls in here. We've had multiple people engage in conversation with the board in different times explaining the benefit of using the proprietary equipment. So that was something that we agreed to back when we actually agreed to use that system. And we also did discuss this last month before it was decided to not vote on it. So I just wanted to get that out, make sure everybody understood that, yes, we have been looking at these cameras and this equipment for a multitude of years.
Okay, one last question. Are there any more analog cameras that we're replacing, or is this the batch of them? Is this the lot of them that we know of? Just out of curiosity, like, how much more are we looking at? I'm happy to table that for later.
Yeah, let me get that. I know Jim's not here. I'm not sure if Ken is back there. I don't see him. That's right. Hiding. Do we have any more analog cameras after this, Ken?
We are analog free.
There we go, analog free.
Thank you.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? All right, I'm abstaining. I work for Johnson Controls, even though I don't work for the security group. So the motion passes 7-0 with one abstention. All right, the official Act 1 index for 1920 is there for information. It is 2.3% for next year.
And can you talk a little bit about how that compares to years past and whether that was expected or not?
This current year is 2.4, this is 2.3, year before was 2.5. It's been as high as 4.1. We expected it to be 2.6. Now, that was a lot of numbers. But it's based on the statewide average weekly wage, which is the index used by the state to calculate workers' compensation payments for lost wages, and the federal employment elementary and secondary CPI, not the CPI like you think of. It's called an elementary and secondary school CPI. So they combine those two together, divide by 2, and comes up with 2.3.
Unexpectedly. All right. Thank you. All right, next thing up is all the personnel changes. Do I have a motion for approval of 9.01?
Move to approve?
Second? Any questions? All right, all those in favor? Motion passes. Oh, sorry. One abstention. Motion passes 7-0 with one abstention. Policy Committee, you want to review these real quick?
Sure. The Policy Committee met at 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. on September 11th. Samantha June and Jennifer Armstrong were attending. Jen joined by phone, as well as many members of the administration and support staff. We reviewed a bunch of policies. I will briefly go through them, and if anybody wants any more detail, feel free to call or catch me after or ask me questions now. Policy 116.1, English as a Second Language Program. Administrative guidelines were added. Dr. Gofredo stated that there is now an administrator assigned as an ELD coordinator, and addition of that program is reflected in the policy. Policy 202, eligibility of non-resident students. Language was added to address eligibility for students who do not live in the school district, but who attend a facility or institution within the district. Policy 601, Fiscal Objectives. The attorney made changes so that the language under designation of responsibility is more concise and designates that the procedures are in accordance with the applicable law and board policy. Policy 602, Budget Planning. We incorporated some changes recommended by our attorney that reflect our current practices. Policy 603, budget preparation. We discussed language in paragraph number 8 under delegation of responsibility and clarified it with the attorney. Basically, the section discussed what would happen if the school board submitted budget increases to vote a referendum and the voters rejected the increases. So we just clarified the language, and the program services or expenditures would be eliminated in that, but we're not looking at that right now. This is all hypothetical. It's just a list of what would happen in this circumstance. So just Policy 604 is budget adoption. Again, changes were made by the attorney to be applicable to the law. Policy 605, tax levy. No changes were recommended for this policy. Policy 606, tax collection. The language was adjusted to reflect the use of a third party for collection of delinquent taxes. Policy 606.1, senior citizen volunteer service tax rebate program. We changed the language to specify that the rebate program is at the net amount. Policy 607, tuition income. No revisions were recommended for this policy. Policy 608, bank accounts. Again, no revisions were recommended. Policy 609, investment of district funds. This policy was revised according to recommendations made by the school district investment advisors. The committee had questions about the definitions that are included in the policy, as well as about choosing an investment company. Dr. Goodfrieder addressed these issues with our attorney. We decided to eliminate any unnecessary definitions. There was a lot more things in there than we actually needed. And our attorney does feel that our existing language is sufficient and that we do not need a policy on how we select our investment services. Obviously, if we decide that we want one, we can always get one, but for right now, we're going on attorney recommendation, which is why we hire them. But if anybody has problems or questions, let's circle back. Policy 625, procurement cards. This policy was reviewed by the business office and needs further review and discussion, so it has been tabled until the October Policy Committee meeting. Policy 626, federal fiscal compliance and administrative guidelines. This policy was changed to comply with the Uniform Grants Code as directed by the school district auditors. Policy 626.1, travel reimbursement, federal programs. The policy reflects IRS-dictated expense reimbursement allowances. Policy 627, district-initiated real estate tax assessment appeals. The committee touched upon this policy last year. In the delegation of responsibility paragraph, the word consulting was added by the attorney. Two more. Policy 628, tax waiver requests. This policy was also addressed last year by the committee. In the government entities paragraph, the word reciprocal was added by our attorney. And last but not least, policy 816.3, acceptable use of technology by employees. Dr. Speaker Palabinsky brought this item forward in light of a cybersecurity presentation recently made to staff. And as an aside, I love when we're able to incorporate learning kind of into our policies and use the information that we've gained, so thank you for that. Item number 4 in the security paragraph of this policy, which stipulated that paragraphs needed to be changed every 90 days, was stricken as advised by the cybersecurity attorney. Longer passwords are felt to be more secure and therefore would only need to be changed sporadically. And just anecdotally, I can say that when you're required to change a password every 90 days, people forget the password, they write it down. It isn't as safe as one would think. So I'm really, really glad that we've made this because it jives with common sense in my mind. Later this year, under advice from our attorney, we will revisit this policy and possibly consolidate it into another policy. So just be aware that this is what it is for now. It will likely change, and we'll get more to come on this as events unfold. The next meeting of the policy committee, which everybody is welcome to, public and board and administrators, anybody, is scheduled for Tuesday, October 2nd at 7:30 a.m. in the district office building. Thanks.
And just for clarity, these will be voted on next month, these
Yes,
changes?
yep.
So there'll be a second reading at the work session, and then the voting meeting will be for approval of them. All right. And Chuck, just to clarify the announcement or voting on this? Do we have to vote on it? Okay, so I need a motion to approve the special meeting. It's recommended. Yep. For October 8th.
Second.
Just to clarify, this is the special meeting that I mentioned earlier for the approval or rejection of the fact-finding report issued by the state fact finder. It will be held Monday right before the work session at 7:30, October 8th. So, any questions, comments? All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. All right, PSBA election, Ellen?
Okay. PSBA is the Pennsylvania School Boards Association. The 2018 slate of candidates, we have been asked to, as one of the participating school districts, to cast our vote. President-elect, one-year term, Eric Wolfgang, Central York School District. Vice President, Art Levinowitz, Upper Dublin School District. Member, Eastern at Large, Mara Burry, Upper Merion Area School District. As far as sectional advisors go, we are Section 8, and I'm recommending Amy Goldman, Radnor School District. We have an insurance trust. There are 5 vacancies with 5 people running. William Lakoff, Owen J. Roberts School District. Dr. Richard Freitas, Penn Manor School District. Nathan Names is the PSBA CEO. The steering committee, Denise LaPera, Peter Bard, well, Denise is with Lower Merion School District, Peter Bard, Weatherly Area School District, Anita Caseman, Quakertown Community School District. These are the recommendations that I am bringing to the board. I'd like to put them forward for a vote.
All right, do I have a motion for approval of the recommendations by Mrs. Burrell?
I motioned, yeah.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. All right, that concludes all the voting items on the agenda for this evening. I will now open up the microphone for any other public comments. If anybody has a comment, please come to the podium and state your name and residency. And again, if you could limit to 3 minutes or less, it would be appreciated.
Bill Dwyer, 10 Stewart Drive, East Whiteland. I just have 2 questions, so I assume they won't be answered tonight. The first has to do with the Beckton Hill property. I think it's about a year ago, you authorized a feasibility study for that. I haven't seen any results for it, and I'd like to know at some point, is that going to be presented to the public and so on? Second question has to do with the reassessments that you're going after for some commercial, different properties within the school district. What I'd like to know is how you came up with the list of properties that you're going after. If you can provide that information, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's John Odell. I live on 5 Marlin Drive in Willistown. And in 1996, when my wife and I, we were looking for a district to move into. I was just finishing what would be 24 years active duty in the military. And it was always my observation from very small to very large organizations that it's the people within an organization that make for the success of it. And we picked Great Valley School District. We were very happy with what happened, or with the results with both my sons who went through. And I'm encouraging the district to continue to support both to attract and retain the quality teachers that I've seen in the district, so that more people like myself will come and move to the district because of the success that I see here. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other public comments? All right. Any other board comments? All right.
I'll chime in real quick. I mean, it's not often we have a room full of teachers. We're 2 weeks into the school year, and I just want to say thank you. My 2 little ones just left, and on behalf of some of the youngest minds in Great Valley, thanks for everything you do.
Yeah, I have a few kids in the school district as well, and I hit middle school, and I'm not going to say which teacher it was, but I went to open house, and one of the teachers actually made me cry. Like, I was sitting there listening to her talk and hearing her love of teaching, and like, we were sitting at a table, and I was sitting next to another mom, and like, both of us had tears in our eyes, and we were just like so excited for our kids. But it was really powerful. Like, you know, you're nervous about sending your kids to middle school, you know, the bus, big kids, but then you hear these teachers, and you're just blown away all over again. So, thank you.
And I would just like to add, I have not had children in school for 4 years now. You would think I'd know every to the day, right? Right, Ed? Where's Ed? But I will tell you that it is wonderful as a board member to hear my colleagues who do have children within the system, that our organization and what we're giving our kids is just as strong. So I want to say thank you for your consistency.
And my freshman at Penn State thanks all of you, because he's never felt more prepared as he is right now. So good job. And he can honestly say other students there are not prepared. So.
I'll just
right.
echo it, since I'm the only other one with, well, kids in the district hasn't said anything, and it's not because I don't think it's wonderful. I just didn't know what to say, but I echo everything they said.
All right, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. Thank you very much for coming, everyone. Hope to see you again.